Good morning, everyone. Or good afternoon. First of all, let me thanks all the panel which we are having today. Really, you have the greatest hospitality guys we have in Egypt. And we will start our questions immediately on the first topic, which is boosting tourism travel and enhance hotel occupancy. First question for Dr. Nabil. How are you, Dr. Nabil? In your opinion, what do you need to do as a businessman to increase tourism attraction and hotel occupancy in Egypt?
Thank you for hosting us today. It's a pleasure to be with you. I will recall some numbers just to highlight the importance of this sector, the tourism sector. If we can recall 2010, we had around 14.3 million visitors with a turnover of around 13 billion US dollar. Last year, we had around 13 million visitors, 13 billion US dollar turnover, and 9 million visitors. So this is a huge industry that needs a lot of efforts between the businessman and the government itself. So, of course, all the businessmen intend to invest in the attraction of the tourism, but this will be within the country vision and the country strategy for the next few years. So to go in much more details, I believe that the country itself have its strategy, and as a businessman, we would like to be part of it. And we already have a lot of discussion and a lot of meetings with all ministers related to the tourism sector. And of course, if you want to increase our visitors from, let's assume, 14 million to be 20 million, that means we need infrastructure, we need hotels, we need a lot of attraction to get these people on the ground. So, for our group, now we are building 14 hotels, which they are under construction to cope with the high demand which we're expecting in the coming year. Also, the businessman should be part of the marketing campaign. Marketing campaign is very important, especially that due to the pandemic, a lot of people was off travel, they didn't travel, and now they are at the stage of the desire is there and they want to be traveling all around the world. So we have to be ready for this. From the government side, they have a lot of investment in the infrastructure in the last few years, and I think everyone can recognize this by driving his car on the streets. So, to recap, first of all, this will have to be part of the marketing campaigns. We need to focus more on the attraction for the tourism, different kind of attraction. Hotels is number one, but on the other side, the attraction is the quality of service which you are providing to the tourism. You need to have a very positive experience staying here in Egypt.
That's right, actually, tourism is selling experience, Dr. Nabil. So I see that you have put government as a part for investment in the attraction part as a very important rules for them. So I think Mr. Sameh can help us on this part and tell us what is the efforts to help the travel and tourism industry from the government.
Thank you for hosting me, and take this opportunity to explain, to say what's happening. Actually, the government until 2010 didn't realize the importance of tourism. So if you go to the numbers, you see the numbers were very modest. of incoming tourism. And still, it was not giving more facilities and was not encouraging more the tourism. As Mr. Nabil said, now in 2010, when we had this big boom of tourism, the big numbers, and the turnover, they started to realize that tourism is important. We had some setups, 2011, we had many things, but the government, again, I'm talking here again, or the head of the country, realized that tourism is very important to Egypt, and they started to deal in a different approach. Yes, we have our rules and regulation, it's very flexible. The Prime Minister himself now have a regular meeting with the investors, has regular meetings with the people of the industry, checking the problems, rules and regulation need to change. When I say the Prime Minister, then of course I say the Minister of Tourism himself, His Excellency. And so anything, any exception needed to the real case, they give it. And this support really was not happening many years ago. So I think we are going the good way. The government has put new rules and regulation for hotels to keep the standard and to maintain the levels of the service. The Federation of the Hotels is making a lot of trainings with Tibet. Tibet is a European organization, and they give a lot of training free of charge. Because we have a problem when the COVID came recently. I mean, we have those crises all the time. I'm talking about the recent one. A lot of people who work on tourism left the industry, especially the rank and file. They went to other jobs because he needed a steady income and it was not guaranteed. So now, to go back, we need to recover. So to recover means to make training sessions and to make upgrade of the industry. So it is all sponsored. The number of people who had this vacation are like more than 15,000 people. We still have a long way to go. What I can say really now, most of the general manager of hotels in Dubai are Egyptians, people who left the industry. In Georgia, most of the staff and managers are Egyptians. All those were here, it was good experience, they left because of the crisis, and we have to replace those. So there is a lot of efforts ongoing.
Okay, but here we talk about the comfort in terms of the condition for investors. The Ministry of Tourism has issued anything new concerning this part to let the investor feeling more happy to deal and start getting license in Egypt to invest?
As I said, it was very complicated to deal with the government. The early investors were really suffering because they have a lot of rules and regulation. Now they made one-stop shop, so all the requirements are in one place. Ministry of Investment as well is giving a lot of incentives, let's say like this. And the government has built a lot of roads, so it's very easy access now to Hurghada, to Luxor, to Aswan, to Sharm el-Sheikh for the overday, because this is part of the destination experience. Many things are happening now. You can, if you have a problem in a hotel, you can meet the head of the hotel department, explain it, and he's very flexible and he approves it. This was not happening before, and now, I mean, it's doing very well.
All of us suffered from post-COVID, and our question to Mr. Zaghloul, what are your newfound challenge post-COVID in terms of hotel development?
Thank you for hosting us. Now the challenges coming to open new properties in Cairo or in Egypt are divided in two parts. Part number one is reaching the point of opening the property, and you have to align yourself with the changes in the supply chain, the changes in the scheduling that's been going on, and the price increase, which will force all the properties to rethink their average house rate again, and the need to increase the average house rate to make sure they can develop more value in the properties and get the return and the innovation after. Secondly, once you start operating, I think also one of the challenges you need to be aligned with is the turbulence in the market that is always going to be there, especially that we're in a hot zone like the Middle East, so we have ups and downs. And we need to have a more sustainable system that is able to maintain throughout the turbulence the ups and downs of the system and the financial baggage that comes with it. So we don't fall into the destruction of losing the skilled individuals that we have. As Mr. Sameh said, that the loss we had on the human capital was much more on the loss of the assets itself. And this should be the plan for us moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Amer, hygiene, awareness, and safety is number one now. Customer, when they decide to choose go to any destination or any hotel to stay, is looking for safety, hygiene, number one, then price. So, we want to know the strategy you talk to boost hygiene, awareness, and safety in hotels.
Thank you very much for hosting us, and thank you for GBB. Hygiene, and especially, it was generally, and in the old days, it was one of the important factors for any one of us when you decide to go to eat in a restaurant or travel. It became 10-fold or maybe 20-fold more important after the COVID-19. People are now very careful being on a plane, being in a restaurant, being in a hotel. But when deciding to travel to a different country, it would not be only the hotel, it would be the surroundings. Because if the hotel is spotless clean and you go out for do some shopping or eat in an outside restaurant, they might contain or contact somebody with COVID-19. So it's very important you have as much as possible, you cannot have it 100% guaranteed, a clean environment surround your hotel. In my group, Amer group, we kind of succeeded in doing that because all our hotels are not isolated hotels just in the middle of the city. No, it's within a community. We have our own, for example, in a place like Port Said, we have our own club. In all of the destinations, be it Sukna, be it Sahel, be it Port Said, we have a shopping mall around it. So if a tourist wants to go do some shopping, buying, he will do it within the vicinity of the hotel. So we are trying to control that by appointing what we call a hygiene guru, somebody who's special. He or she has the experience of maybe he has a degree in medicine or a degree in pharmaceutical to be able to do and take the necessary actions needed. We are facing as an industry, not as a group, a problem like Sameh just said. Most of our skilled and trained employees have left after the COVID-19 and went to factories or went to work somewhere else or travel abroad. So the challenge now is retraining the new recruits. They come with zero hygiene knowledge. They do not know the basics. So training is number one. So as a group, we are doing the two things. We are doing basic training for everybody, and we are not doing that alone. We have our suppliers for the chemicals, like Diversey and the other companies. We use their help. They have well-trained staff, and we have training courses that can help, alongside with our internal training departments. The second thing, as I said, hiring a hygiene guru. The third and the most important thing, each hotel general manager, at the end of the year, he gets a bonus for the performance, for his KPIs achievement. As of this year, 50% of those will depend on achieving a 90% minimum, and the more he gets, the more his bonus goes in the hygiene check. Most of the hotels in Egypt are dealing with two companies. One of them is Crystal. I do not remember the name of the other one. And they do a periodical monthly or bi-monthly inspection on the restaurants, on the hotel, on the guest rooms, and they give score. So having a minimum of 90%, depending, if you get less than 90%, 50% of your bonus is done with the winners. You have to incentivize the person to do it. So those are the main duties or the main tactics we are using to control and maintain a safer environment for the tourist.
Now our second topic about refuge tourism. Revenge tourism, it is a new expression started here recently. So we are talking about how we can fast track a project to cater the revenge tourism. This is our question to Mr. Mohamed Zaghloul.
I think to cater to revenge tourism or to millennials or Generation Z, I think one of the major things we need to be working on in Egypt is we need to upgrade our properties. I would rather concentrate more than opening new properties on upgrading the amenities, upgrading the IT systems, upgrading the furniture in the properties, bringing them more into the up-to-date that we see now in competing destinations like Dubai, like Saudi Arabia. I think this is the direction we need to be going. Secondly, I think entertainment has to be on the forefront of our mind. There has to be major investment, there has to be government incentives in this part. Without this part, I think it will be a very hard task for us to continue where we are.
Great. We want to know from Dr. Rashdan his opinion about the same subject, about revenge tourism. With Travco, revenge tourism. Yes. Yeah.
Yes, as you said, it's a new expression. So
how fast the tracking? I mean, how fast the track?
Yes.
What we did last 6 months, 9 months with revenge tourism?
Actually, what we did in the last 2 years, we were preparing ourselves to be ready for this. So we used the pandemic periods to invest more on the renovation of our hotels, as Mr. Mohamed said. This is very important. And also renovation of all our night cruises. And also investing in a new platform that can attract the Z generation, because as we all know, that digitalization is a very challenge now. Everyone uses our apps, and so the normal way of having reservation and getting and travel, it's not working anymore. So you need to be adapted with a very high quality platforms that can compete in the market. Also, from our side, we try to have some kind of policy to keep the good people staying with us. So we paid around maybe 75% of their salaries through the pandemic, and it has a very positive impact on them. And we feel the reality now. They are very loyal to us, and we are proud to have them. Also, we invested in the training. Training is very important to keep the people updated with what's happening, and the culture of dealing with the different clients from different countries. It's very important, because the word of mouth, when anyone stays in Egypt and get back to his home, the word of mouth is very important, and it can push other people to come and visit us in here. I just want to add one more thing concerning the efforts of the government, that we had recently a new law which was approved from the General Assembly, which having only the Ministry of Tourism. This is the only place to deal with all the tourism companies and hotel companies. This law really is it's a very good step from the government, and we were involved in the discussion session with the People Assembly, and we feel it will have a very good impact on that business.
Mr. Hamdy, we are still in the same issue of revenge tourism, and we want to know your strategy. Can you plan to fast-track development during this occasion of revenge tourism?
Yes, as you said, and as Nabil said, it's a new term. We are learning. I mean, with the pandemic, we are all learning things. Even doctors are learning how to treat the COVID. we found out that people now, they want to travel, they want to go back, but they do not want to go to isolated hotels. They want to go to a community, livable place. You don't want to stay, have breakfast, lunch, and dinner in the same hotel, and that's it. You just enjoy the sea and the sun. And people want to go out because they haven't been going for 2 years. So one of the things we use as a group, our the strategies, is that we just opened a new hotel in Port Said, and before opening the hotel, we made sure that the shopping mall was first opened. So a traveler, when he comes, he will not be confined to a hotel. No more COVID time, no more staying at home. You can go out, you can enjoy. We opened a sports club, full-fledged facilities sports club. So the traveler coming, whether it be the standard traveler or the generation B, the new one, will have the facility. I mean, like any one of us, we have been staying at home for almost 1.5 years. Cannot visit travelers, cannot visit even friends, and so now you want to revenge from that. You want to do things you never did before. And the only way to do that is that you give him facilities to go out. You give him a place to move around, to move freely, in controlled as much as possible, COVID-free environment. So one of the techniques we used, one of the strategies, was we opened the supporting facilities first. An aqua sports club, a normal sports club, a shopping mall, and then comes the hotel.
Mr. Sameh, with your living experience with the government, which is very long really, we want your statement for the international investor. What do you want to say to them to come to Egypt to invest in the hospitality?
As I would say that the government now, talking about the head of the state, realized that the tourism is important. The investor is the one who really can move things. The government now is looking and working in a different way. They can make companies with joint ventures with foreigners. You know, we have the low investment number 8. So they can be in joint venture with foreigners. And as my experience, I've been working in public sector companies, I've been working with the government itself, and as my experience, when we say an investor, then he has the priority in many things. In certain disagreement point in one of the companies I've been working with, we had a disagreement with an investor, and I found that the government was taking his side. You know, it was different points of view, but they were taking his side. They said, no, you see, the relation between the two countries are more important than your things. So this gives me confidence now. If anything happens, the government will be always backing up the investor.
Dr. Rashdan, as an expert joining us today, what is the strategy can you adapt to be ahead and top 10 in customer choice and destination, Egypt?
To be on the top 10, you need to be ready for this. So,
from infrastructure perspective, first.
Yes, as I mentioned in the beginning, if you would like to reach a target of 20 million visitors, you need to have hotels to accommodate these people. If you can recall that before the war, the Ukrainian war, there was a very aggressive demand in Egypt, and was actually having a problem, shortage of rooms. So if you can imagine, all the Russian and Ukrainian market went back to why also the European countries coming back to the business, there will be really a problem regarding the availability of hotel rooms. So first, we need to be ready with the infrastructure and with our hotels. We need to be ready with the training about the quality of service you are providing. And for example, we have a special department for the quality assurance. They make an inspection for our our transportation fleets, the coaches and the small buses. They go regularly and inspect it, and also they inspect the hotels. Also, we outsource some audit companies specialized in auditing our hotels. And they go over there, and we have a contact with them. They go over there and they give us the remarks, and we try to work on it, if any. The third thing is the training. The training is a must. The training is a must to have the right people ready to receive such a demand.
Thank you. Mr. Zaghloul, how to turn Egypt into more than historical destination?
I think we've been for a while. We've had a platform in Hurghada and Sharm that allows us to grow more than just a historical destination. But I believe that we need to have a different perspective towards investment in destinations that are beach-oriented or entertainment-oriented. I think we need to establish that these cities need to have a different tax and investment initiatives to grow the entertainment sector, to get them out of the all-inclusive system, so they can become more of developing cities with their own environments, with their own habitats, with their own shopping destinations that's available to them, and because they are cut out from the rest of the urban population. Without doing this, it's going to be, we're going to remain where we are, which is either a beach destination, which the guest comes in the hotel and doesn't leave, or they just get an excursion to go see a historical site. But if we need them to move, if we need them to enjoy their stay, if you need them to have more than just a beach day, we need to give them some more entertainment. We need to give them more shopping. We need to give them more adult entertainment, casinos, bars and nightlife. To do this, there has to be more tax incentive in these cities. And we have to model them out, and then once the model is ready, then we can adapt them to different smaller, like Dahab, like Marsa Alam, to different smaller destinations.
Yes. What about rest of Egypt? Out of Marsa Alam, out of beach area. What about rest of Egypt? We have like 27 or 26 kilometers. Can you believe that? Yes. What about this? Where we develop? We need to develop in this area. Did we do something in the other cities?
I think the local tourism in these cities, the local travel of business itself,
very important,
is a good platform where we can start. I am not sure, because I'm not sure how the regulations in these cities or in these towns to acquire for hotels or 2 or 3 star hotels. To start with the train station destinations. But I'm sure if we can concentrate on this, I'm sure this will be a very good update and upgrade to where these cities are.
Yes. Mr. Sameh can answer us on this part, please. Did the government has any arrangement to develop out of the touristic city?
They created the Alamein destination. Alamein destination was not existing 3 years ago. They are trying hard, and they are giving facilitation. Don't forget that we pay support for the charter tour operators still, and yesterday it was decided to extend the charter support until October. So, and they are extending the fast monorail to connect between different cities and reaching to Alamein as well. So the government is creating, yes, Marsa Matruh as a destination, it was forgotten until Travco really made a big complex there, and it became a destination on demand, and they have charter flights. So the government is working slowly. They realize that as a government, you cannot invest. You can invest, they have the money there, but leave it to the experience. So this is why they go together always with the investors, because they have the experience. Let me tell you that the holding company for tourism and hotels, it's a public sector company owned by the government. They have 53 hotels, and it's all given to management companies, foreign management companies. This means that, yes, we know how to deal. Yes, we invest. Mina House, Marriott, for example, they put renovation for 500 million pounds. Shepherd. It was signed this week with Mandarin Oriental Hotels. This is all owned by the government, but they go with private sector to invest.
Yes, well, in this case, occasion, Dr. Rashdan can give us more details about Matruh project and Russell Bar project actually. Steigenberger, Russell Bar.
Steigenberger as well is owned by the holding company.
Yeah, I need the challenge to just manage now by
Let me tell you about this hotel because this is very. It was owned as a building, as a place by the governorate of Dumyat. Owned. And the holding company took it lease for 50 years, so rebuilt it, redid it, and Steigenberger is managing it, and they created a destination because nobody was going to Russell Bar anymore. So it created a destination, business and leisure. So
to make it more simple, it's to create a destination. You need flights.
You need airports.
Yes. So what happened in the last few years is the government invested in many airports in different destinations. But for example, in Galala city, if you want to create a destination over there, you have to get charter flights, fly to Cairo, and get transportation from, let's say, the airport which is located in Tagama, and go to Sofia, which is around 1 hour. So it's very simple. It's about the facility the government can give to the airlines concerning the landing fees and the fuel prices and all of this. And on the other hand, to have some agreement, to get charter flights. If you get charter flights, you create a destination. Without flights, you won't have a destination. Very simple.
Mr. Hamdy, can we hear about it?
I just need to elaborate one thing on that. To get away from the culture tourism, the standard thing, we have to make awareness of our offerings. There is a huge trend in the whole world now, which is health and wellness. In Egypt, we have locations like Safaga. Safaga and the sand in Safaga is very good for dermatology, certain kind of skin diseases. It is the only place in the world where you have that. Also in Rashid, you have the black sand. Those places and the amount of money people spend on health and wellness tourism in the world is in billions. Unfortunately, the share of Egypt is not that much. We need to make awareness, not only in the Middle East or the Gulf, no. People can come from Europe to stay in those resorts, and the people who have arthritis and so. Safaga is a heaven for them. It's very important to make awareness of that and to grab our part from that worldwide resource that we are not tapping on.
Thank you.
Excuse me, let me add one thing on the government creating destination. They build roads to Upper Egypt, and Upper Egypt is potential. I mean, Upper Egypt is not only Luxor and Aswan. You have Minya, you have Bani Sueb, you have Sohag. Each governorate is a governorate in need, and they have a lot of tourist attraction. But before, the only way to go there was going by road, and the road was taking, like you can go to Minya in 4 or 5 hours. Now they built big roads, kind of highways, so to go to Minya it takes you like 2.5 hours. So this encouraged certain segment of tourism which added room nights to Egypt. Because you can go to Minya, you can go part of the Holy Family trip, you can go to Asyut. And now Sohag, they opened the Abydos temple, they improved it. Now the problem is Upper Egypt is in need for rooms. Before, many hotels were empty. Now we have shortage in rooms in Upper Egypt, in Minya, in Sohag, in Bani Suef, in all those governorates. Without those roads, nothing would happen. Thank you.
Also, part of the government activities being done, the exhibition tourism. We have a very clear example in France. Nice and Cannes, those two major cities, are living on the Palais de Festival of Cannes. They have like 350 days out of the 365 days. You have the film festival, you have the meta for the real estate, you have so. We are going to see that soon because a huge exhibition and fairground is going to open in New Alamein. You know what I mean? It's accessed by 2 airports and accessed by 1 seaport. So this is one of the government activities to make the North Coast not just a 90 days destination, but year round. And the amount of money generated is going to be unheard of.
Great. As you are local investors, so how can you give advice to the international investor to come to Egypt and invest in the hospitality sector? Start by Mr. Hamdy and follow.
Yes. Okay. Now the government is giving so many schemes to help the investors to come. One of those that they are reducing the amount of taxes, or there is a plan to reduce the amount of taxes on tourism, hotels and tourism projects. The offering of lands. I mean, if you look at the area surrounding you, you are the only country within the MENA region that can be, has beaches, can be used 9 months or 10 months a year. The competition is Tunisia and Turkey. In winter, you can never touch the places. So gloomy, it's rainy, it's like London weather. The sort of tourism, the desert tourism we have, as I said, the health and wellness. So an investor coming to here, especially we take it as a bad thing, but it's, in fact, it's a good thing for the investor. The devaluation of the pound. An investor coming with his own dollars and doing a project in here, the ROI on his money, bringing it in, is going to be higher than any other part in the Middle East.
I can see it in other words. You cannot advise an international investor to come or not to come to Egypt. It's all about the business environment in Egypt. So if you are creating an enabling environment for the investors, they will be attracted to come here. And as mentioned, Egypt, it's a huge market and it has a lot of potential. So yes, there's a very good return on the investment, but it's, the first step is a good environment for the investors. Because any investors would like to invest in any country, we like to go and review some reports like doing business in Egypt, all the international reports which give advice indirectly to the investors. So I want to highlight the importance of the business environment in Egypt, and this is of course the role of the government itself to have an attractive environment for the people to invest in.
I think the appetite that has been available for a while for the government to partner with knowledgeable investors is the main reason for investments to grow. And I think this will drive more and more business in the coming years. And I think this is very important, especially that if an investor is coming from outside, they need local knowledge or local affiliations. They can find it within the Egyptian government, or they can find it within the Egyptian business state.
Let me say that why Egypt has a unique position. We are 3-4 hours flying from anywhere in Europe. We have 365 days weather. You know, some destination like Turkey, they work only 4 or 5 months. Dubai, Saudi Arabia, they are hot. So here we are year-round working, and we have different markets. So we have the Arab market working in summer when the European doesn't come. We have in winter Europeans. We have all markets. We have nice market segmentations, and this give a flow of business year-round. I mean, hotels occupancy in normal days reaches 75-78% year-round in destination, like Hurghada and Sharm. Why? Because you have business year-round. So definitely this is an attraction. Plus, as Mr. Nabil said, you know, I mean, the market, should be positioned the market by itself. The business should drive the investors to come, not putting an advertising and saying, come to Egypt. Thank you.
Can you add also about sustainability tourism, Mr. Sameh? I think that you have long
we were talking earlier in one of the sessions about sustainable tourism and sustainability. Yes, we have plenty of space spread around, which could be very good for sustainable tourism. It's good because it makes the local work on it. I mean, one of the most famous example which has proven very big success is Fayoum, Tunis village. Tunis village was a village poor, has no resources at all. Tunis is Fayoum, is one of the governorates which are overpopulated, and people go out. They don't have any attraction to business. So all the people of Fayoum are spread all over Egypt looking for business, or Libya or Saudi Arabia. And came this, God bless her, this French-Swiss lady, Eveline, and she has been living in this place and she wanted to do something, so she came and she said, fine, what those people are good at? Pottery. So she made her own pottery school, and she had her own students and she was paying for them, and a lot of people were graduated from the school and they opened their pottery shops, and the village was organized very well, in a very good and neat. And now they have boutique hotels. We speak about 1,500 euro, 2,000 euro per night, and those hotels, very small. And of course, what happened? It created work for the people of the village, and they used the local products and all this. So this is a very good example of sustainable tourism. We have a lot of chances like this. We have in Wadi Gamal, in Marsa Alam. We have in St. Catherine, we have everywhere. And this gave a chance to small investors, because building an environmental hotel or being there, it doesn't cost this much. You need a hotel of 15, 20 rooms, and your investment is very high. And see, where we have a very famous hotel with 500 euros per night. So sustainable tourism has a big market for Egypt, a lot of places, and it attracts certain type of investors. Thank you.
My question to Mr. Hamdy about hospitality. How do you see our hospitality in Egypt? Are we doing well in this part, or we need to do some more training to catch the customer requirement?
First, we need to identify the target market that we need to work on. Are we heading for the niche market? Are we heading for the 2 and 3 stars market? We need to identify. Egypt can cater to all types. We have 5 stars hotels, we have very niche hotels, we have boutique hotels, and we have El Gona, for example. It's a sustainable environmental city, more or less. It's not 100%, but it is one of the most advanced in Egypt, and it offers everything. It offers from Airbnbs to 3, 4, and 5 stars plus hotels. So Egypt can and is able to cater to all types, but we need to legislate that. For example, not all the hotels should be 5 stars. The generation G, the new generation, the 25 to 30 youngsters, and I see many faces in the room of that generation, they don't need to stay in the 5-star hotels. They want to go to environmental hotels. They want to go to Bedouin huts. They want to go to 2 and 3-star hotel, but with basic services like 24 hours, high-speed internet, cleanliness, of course, and the hygiene. So Egypt can, and need to work. We can do it, but we need to do some infrastructure work to achieve and be there.
Customers now looking for holiday homes. What about holiday homes in Egypt? Are we ready to invest in this such sector? Holiday homes customer sometimes doesn't want to stay in a hotel. He's looking for a holiday homes and service of holiday homes. I want to get your opinion from my speaker about this project.
I believe holiday homes became a trend here in Egypt. If you go online, if we take the example of Gona, it's got a lot of inventory about holiday homes. And a lot of people, the Egyptian, by nature, they like to invest in real estate. Why? Because based on the previous experience in the last whatever 40, 50 years, everyone gained money.
We built the pyramids. We built the pyramids. We like to build.
Yes. So many of the people and many of the people are trying to avoid putting all the savings in banks. So this is why still there is a huge demand in the real estate and there is a gap in the market, because people are investing in real estate as a sense of investment. So it became, as I mentioned, it became a trend in Egypt. Many people buying real estate for investment, which is used as a holiday. If you go on any of the very famous websites, you can find a lot of inventory available here in Egypt.
So talk about that from the investor perspective. You are an investor in very big projects. You are interested to invest in this such a project?
We do it the other way around. We start thinking about having a hotel that we can seal its rooms. So you can be an owner of an executive suite, for example, in the North Coast. So yes, we are studying this, and actually we are trying to implement this, but in the concept of hotel rooms. Not the other way.
Thank you very much. Audience, if you have any question to the panel? Yes, please.
Rashdan from Hilton Hotels, design and construction. I was very pleased that you touched upon the point about refurbishment of the hotels, because I think there's a lot of tired assets in Cairo, especially, that they obviously need refurbishment. So I mean, what is your strategy, to refurbish these hotels? And do you see an appetite for more lifestyle hotels in the old neighborhoods? And also to connect with the neighborhoods.
I think the idea of refurbishment of the hotels, we as a company, we as a developer, we started this process as soon as we went in Europe. So we had a plan, and we decided when we went into the low occupancy, instead of still basically slowing down the operation, we said, let's maintain the schedule and go through this. Of course, going through the refurbishment, one of the main upgrades you need to look at is IT. Is the media centers and the rooms, the IP telephones, and all these upgrades are heavily on the side of cost. And you need to have a look at them, you need to maintain a proper plan for them. Once you start doing this, you will be able to cater to more of the generation set, or more to the millennials, especially with their needs for access for the Netflix on the TV. So these are the important things. Of course, on the level of FF&E, right now I think it is extremely important that we move towards what is more aesthetically pleasing, more simpler, and less on the crowded side of interior design. And I think a lot of the properties I've seen that are going into renovation are going towards this. And the new properties that have opened within the last 12 months also had this in their interior design brief or perspective. As for the lifestyle, I think this is, I think it's a very amazing idea. I think something every investor needs to look at. Until now, the opportunities to have a look at this might be a little bit challenging because of the size and the need of these lifestyle and the location. But I think right now we're getting close to what is needed for these hotels. And I think, but this will be more able to cater actually also in the also in the smaller cities and towns in Egypt where actually we don't have branded hotel. And I think this is where we should push them first before going back into the company.
Any other question? Thank you very much. Thank you for, oh, excuse me. Mike?
Thank you to give me the opportunity to talk to the gentlemen, and especially Mr. Mohamed Farouk and all the attendees. Just my question about the new version of tourism, online tourism, and especially how it goes with the big fives in Egypt, because most of the tourism here in Egypt between some hands or some tour operators, and mainly most of them they are Turkish or Russians. That's why kind of we suffering of. So when we will end the story of all-inclusive concept and let our hotels die because of this concept, and when the sky will be open for the online travel business?
I think you need me to answer this one. Frankly speaking, you are a operator, right? Tour operator business is still, and it will keep, not only for Egypt, but everywhere. Still tour operator will work from everywhere. FIT business is working and working now very high. Our number after COVID with the FIT business come like over 55% from the international traffic. Before COVID, we were like 35 or something. So we are growing step by step. So everything is online. You will book your hotel online, you book your tour guide online, you book your bus online, you book your whatever. Everything you want to do it has to be online. And it's now online. And we have it, by the way, in Egypt. So now, customer can arrive to Cairo International Airport using free internet for 2 hours in the airport to book his Uber or whatever transportation. He can book his room with any booking engine, all is available. He can enjoy the tour from online, he can book online tour. So this is important to let the customer feel free to move. And hotel now start to move as well to the dynamic rates. So there's no more giving static contracts for FIT business, individual business FIT. But does not mean that we have to stop tour operator, because tour operator is still very important in Egypt, in Turkey, in Dubai, or in Spain, or the international destination. Because the one who rent a flight or start to arrange an organization tour, or organize tours, and they start getting advertising to the destination, spend money to let the people come and go to the destination. It's still very important for everyone, not only for Egypt. Both are working together on both parts. Now, the good news is that the tour operator also now started doing the online portals to do his packages, which is...
The story is still on, and we have a very successful relations with our main partner, TUI. For TUI Russia, it's almost related to the negotiation of the contracts. So if we cannot fulfill the requirements, so it's business to business. So at the end, it should be like a win-win situation. So sometimes we reach an area that we don't have. It's like a gray area. So we feel, okay, let's proceed. Everyone proceed towards his benefits. That's it.
Thank you so much, I appreciate it.
Thank you very much, and thank you for the audience, thank you for the panel, thank you, see you